Hi there everyone, welcome back to Press for Truth TV. Today is Thursday, September the 20th, 2012, and there's some huge news coming out of France that's been making its way all across the internet today as a new study is being conducted into the long-term health effects of genetically modified foods, specifically the effects of Monsanto's genetically modified corn, as well as the world's leading weed killer, Roundup. Here's a recent article from naturalnews.com. Shock findings in new GMO study. Rats fed lifetime of GM corn grow horrifying tumors. 70% of females die early. Eating genetically modified corn and consuming trace levels of Monsanto's Roundup chemical fertilizer cause rats to develop horrifying tumors, widespread organ damage, and premature death. That's the conclusion of a shocking new study that looked at the long-term effects of consuming Monsanto's genetically modified corn. The study has been deemed the most thorough research ever published into the health effects of GM food crops and the herbicide Roundup on rats. News of the horrifying findings is spreading like wildfire all across the internet, with even the mainstream media seemingly in shock over the photos of rats with multiple grotesque tumors. Tumors so large, the rats even had difficulty breathing in some cases. GMOs may be the new thalidomide. Monsanto's Roundup weed killer and GM maize implicated in shocking new cancer study, wrote The Grocery. Scientists found that rats exposed to even the smallest amounts developed mammary tumors and severe liver and kidney damage as early as 4 months in males and 7 months for females. The animals on the GM diet suffered mammary tumors as well as severe liver and kidney damage. The researchers said that 50% of males and 70% of females died prematurely, compared with only 30% and 20% in the control group. The study, led by Gilles Eric Seralini of the University of Caen, was the first ever study to examine the long-term life effects of eating GMOs. You may find yourself thinking it is absolutely astonishing that no such studies were ever conducted before GM corn was approved for widespread use by the USDA and the FDA. But such is the power of corporate lobbying and corporate greed. In fact, there were some studies conducted on GMO foods on lab rats, but all of these previous studies were only done for 90 days. And at that point, the FDA would deem that this is safe. But in this new study, in the case of every one of these rats, none of these tumors presented themselves or appeared until after 4 months. And it was at the 4th month and on that the tumors showed themselves and got progressively worse and worse in the life of these rats that they tested this on. The study was published in the Food and Chemical Toxicology Journal and was presented at a news conference in London. Here are some of the shocking findings from that study. Up to 50% of males and 70% of females suffered premature death. Rats that drank trace amounts of Roundup at levels legally allowed in the water supply had a 200% to 300% increase in large tumors. Rats fed GM corn and traces of Roundup suffered severe organ damage, including liver damage and kidney damage. The study fed these rats NK603, the Monsanto variety of GM corn that's grown across North America and widely fed to our animals and humans. This is the same corn that's in your corn-based breakfast cereals, corn tortillas, corn snack chips. And that's another thing about this, is this GMO corn is in absolutely everything. You just go look at some of the ingredients in some of the foods that you ingest on a daily basis, and you'll find that corn is in almost all of it. And even the stuff that doesn't list corn. I mean, this genetically modified corn is also being fed to chickens and pigs and cows, and all of the meat that we are also ingesting has the GMO corn in it because these animals are being fed this stuff. And so right now, France is actually leading the way and trying to now, as a result of this study, trying to block the production of GMO foods now, potentially all over Europe. Here is an article from Natural Society. France launches major investigation into GMOs following tumor study. Following the release of a peer-reviewed piece of research linking the consumption of Monsanto's Roundup containing GMO crops to tumors and organ damage, the French government is now calling for a health agency investigation, seeking to analyze the research and potentially ask European authorities to protect human health and abandon the use of GMO crops. France's agricultural minister and others are now sounding the alarm. The study was the first to ever examine the true effects of lifelong GMO consumption in rats, and was dubbed the most thorough research ever published into the health effects of GM food crops and the herbicide Roundup on rats. Finding an onset of mass tumors and damage to the kidneys and liver, the study has serious implications as to what large-scale GMO consumption is doing to humans. Since a serious lack of serious information has surfaced on long-term effects of GMO consumption, human consumption of GMOs itself is really a mad scientist experiment on a global scale. It appears French officials understand the severity of the findings, with Agricultural Minister Stéphanie Le Foll and others now asking the National Agency for Health Safety to investigate further. Both Le Foll and Social Affairs Minister Marisol Touraine described the decision in a joint statement. Depending on ANSES opinion, the government will urge the European authorities to take all necessary measures to protect human and animal health, they say. The duo went on to highlight how the decision could go as far as generating an emergency suspension of Monsanto's modified corn known as NK603 maize throughout Europe. The measures could go as far as invoking emergency suspension of imports of NK603 corn to Europe, pending a re-examination of this product on the basis of enhanced assessment methods. So it's good to see that France is taking the initiative to lead the way to say, look, guys, this study has just revealed what we've suspected all along, that there is adverse health effects, there is problems associated with ingesting GMO foods. And let's not forget that there's also a large initiative that was launched in California. I believe it was called Proposition 39, if I'm not mistaken. I'll find that and I'll put a link in the description so you can check that one out as well, where people in California are leading the initiative to have these GMO foods labeled. Because more often than not, they don't even label which corn, for example, is genetically modified and which isn't. So you don't even know when you're ingesting this stuff or not. So the good news today is that France is stepping up in regards to the revelations of this new study and are taking the initiatives to stop production of GMO foods, potentially all across Europe. And again, there's the California-led initiative to label the GMO foods. So I'll put links to all of that in the description so you can check that out. There's also a video I'll put a link in the description to where some of these experts in France discuss some of their findings and how they feel about the recent revelation. But as I said, this is something we've all suspected for quite some time. I think it amounts to basically a soft kill weapon that is being orchestrated on the population, the whole of humanity. For those of you who caught our video blog from a few days ago, Brian Law of Press for Truth did a report on the history of eugenics and pointed out the fact that there are top-level eugenicists in governments to this day who do want to kill you. They want to profit off of making you sick through big pharma and also to reduce the global population. And this is often done through what is called slow kill or soft kill methods, such as generating these cancers in people through the foods that they ingest. So in case you missed that one, I'll put a link in the description for that as well. And also be sure to check out the other links. This new video of these experts in France discussing this recent revelation. But again, it is just going to put a stop to all of Monsanto's production of GMO. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, but this is certainly a step in the right direction. So anyways, guys, that's it for today. Just wanted to bring that to your attention. I want to thank you for tuning in once again, and I'll see everyone right back here tomorrow at pressfortruth.tv.